All right, both things went really well. Definitely improvement. Definitely made improvement there. So we're moving on to new stuff. Typically, what I do with people is still like the eighth note stuff, but it's more single string, single note material. Now, I went back and reread some of the notes I took on the initial video that you made, and looks like strict alternate picking is something you were already doing, which is fantastic. So I want to see how you do with this. 240 is the goal for number one here. And then we'll also do some palm mute accent pattern stuff as well. I figure that'd be good, especially since you mentioned you're enjoying doing the more rhythmic stuff. So we'll keep with that as well. And eventually we will get into the 16th note stuff, work on that too. But yeah, can't do it all at once, but we're definitely going to get there. And judging on how you've been progressing, I mean, you're flying through stuff. So we're going to get there fairly soon, I'd imagine. Way faster than most folks, easily. So this is in a 3/4 time signature, this guy. And what we're doing is basically going up a 3 notes per string scale shape, with B being the root note of the first half. So basically the first 3 bars make up the scale. It's a B Locrian scale shape. And then we're going to shift up with the pinky. So we finished that 3rd bar with the pinky. We're going to start the 4th bar, or the second half, with the pinky and work our way down. So that C note there, that's the root note for that scale shape, which would be the C major scale, or C Ionian mode. Now we can get into theory and all that stuff if you like. Probably need to wait until after the technique stuff is done, though, to make sure we got plenty of playing material to work on throughout the week. But anyway, I can sprinkle some theory stuff here and there. But yeah, and then we're going to resolve the whole thing with that A note. Give it more of a minor feel once we hit that note. Now, let me see. Yeah, some things to keep in mind. So we got 3 finger patterns happening. So what I mean by that is, like the first bar, we got the 7 8 10 7 8 10. So that's going up from the first finger, you go up a half step, then a whole step. So that's one pattern there. I'm going to call that half whole, half and whole. So using your first, second, and 4th finger, that's what you want to do there. And the next pattern, we got whole, half. So we go up a whole step, then a half step. And then the 3rd pattern, in the 3rd bar, we got 2 whole steps. So whole step, whole step. So for the whole half, we're going to use your first, 3rd, and 4th finger. And then for the whole, you can use either your ring finger in the middle or your middle finger in the middle. So you can do 1st, 2nd, and 4th, or 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Doesn't really matter, but you do need to know what feels more natural for your hand. Now my hand is the ring finger. If I try using the middle finger, it just doesn't feel right. And in certain positions, it's actually bad for my wrist. I do have wrist problems after playing for over 20 years, so I got to be careful. So I will not be using the middle finger. I'm going to use the ring finger. But if a lot of people, the middle finger is the way to go. So that being said, when you go down, you want to use the same set of fingers for the same pattern. So looking at that 4th bar, going 13, 12, 10, that's the half whole. Okay? We're just going down. So you're going to use your 1st, 3rd, and 4th finger for that. The next, we got the half whole pattern. So 1st, 2nd, and 4th finger for that part. And then at the end here, we're ending with the whole. So again, you can use your 1st, 3rd, and 4th, or 1st, 2nd, and 4th. Good test I like to give people is like holding chords like this. Like if you go like 5, 7, and 9 at the same time. Like here, it's not too bad on the middle finger in this stretch, but like up here, not so good. So yeah, just see how that feels. Like hold the 5, 7, and 9 at the same time. Kind of move that chord shape around. And then if the ring finger is just not feeling good, try the middle finger. And then, of course, try it out within the scale shapes themselves. But the important thing is you use the same fingers going up as you do coming back down. So for the different patterns. This way, we reduce the amount of thinking that's needed to play quickly, or even just slow. There's always going to be some exception out there in terms of using a different finger for the same kind of pattern depending on the riff or lick you're trying to do. But for things like this, like very scale-based type things, we want to use the same fingers every single time we can. It really helps with the muscle memory, so we're not thinking about things when we're going really fast. There might be some muting issues. I did notice one of the things you played in the knowledge video you made, there was a little bit of muting on something, and I think it was similar to this. So I want to send a video over on a lesson I made quite a few years ago, talking about muting. So it's like right hand and left hand muting. Definitely watch that because that might be really helpful. So we'll see how it turns out this week when you work on it. Let's see, anything else? I think that's it. So yeah, strict alternate picking the whole time. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And yeah, 240 is the speed cap for this, just like most of the rhythm stuff. And yeah, let's get into it. Number 1, count of 3, 60. 1, 2, 3. So even if you're doing something like this up on the tiny frets, well, that's not quite the same thing, is it? Same fingers, because again, we're trying to reduce the amount of thinking going on. A lot of times people will change to like different set of fingers because they're the tiny frets. I mean, if you've already gotten used to it, that's one thing, but I do believe it's your best bet to use the same set of fingers, whether you're doing it up high or way down here. This way, again, it's that whole step pattern, use the same fingers. Half whole half, or I got that backwards. Whole half, half whole, same pattern. Same fingers every time. So this way, again, you're not having to change things up just because it's the tiny fret versus the big fret. It's the same fingers every time, no matter what. I do believe that's the best way to go. All right, 120. 1, 2, 3. And 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Repeats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So, made a notice, there's a little bit of palm muting going on. I like to do that for these kinds of things. It does help make things sound cleaner, a little bit easier to play some of these things. So if you find yourself doing a little bit of palm muting, that's okay. That's okay. All right, number 2, speaking of palm muting, going to do this for our first palm mute accent pattern. All downstrokes on this one. Makes the palm mute sound way more aggressive. So all downstrokes. Speed cap for this, 200. 200, because it's all down picking. That's pretty fast for a lot of people. I want you to do your best to hit both strings the entire time. So even on the palm mute part, both strings. It makes it sound thicker, bigger. So both strings. So I point that out because a lot of times people will play something like this. They'll do the non-palm muted chord like that, and then they'll just hit the one string. We want both. We want it sounding big and beefy. All right, here we go. 60 beats per minute. And if there's any questions about getting a good palm mute sound, since you are on Patreon, watch the palm mute accent pattern number 1. So if you need any help with getting really good sounding palm mutes, watch that video. So palm mute accent pattern number 1, talk a lot about it on that. But here we go. 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. $160. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. $200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You may have noticed I was taking some big breaths there. That's very important to do when you're, picking fast like that for a long period of time. Got to get the oxygen into the bloodstream. Got to get the oxygen into the muscle, because that's tiring. That's a lot of work. So to help your endurance, remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. It's important. It's necessary. So there we go. 2 new things. So yeah, the speed goal to turn things in early for number 1 is 240. And for this guy here, it's 200. All right, any questions come up, let me know. And I'll see you again in your new videos.